Hey everybody, I'm Indie Pride, and I've got something special for you all. So, Mousillon, as some of you may know, is an undead city and former dukedom of Bretonnia to the south of Lyon, corrupted by warpstone and foul magic. And if you combine the Minor Factions custom battle mod with the Mousillon City of the Damned mod, you get this, a Bretonnian-themed Vampire Counts army, playable in multiplayer, with a ton of new models and undead Bretonnian knights and peasants. Gonna be showing off a 40-unit cap multiplayer battle in the zombie swamps of Hell Fen, but we've got a corrupted Knight of the Black Grail on a zombie dragon leading my army, Pestilence Breath, the lore of vampires, and a powerful AoE attack, and he's going to be snacking on some Bretonnians very soon. And would you look at those gorgeous models on the Grave Guard with great weapons, Skeletal Knights of the Realm with two-handed weapons, very potent armor-piercing unit, and this mod is so much fun to play if you're looking to get a themed Bretonnia Civil War battle going. It doesn't make Mousillon playable in campaign, unfortunately, although I'm sure something like that will come out soon if it's not already out. But it basically reskins most of the infantry and hero units for the vampire counts. That's a White King reskin to be an undead Bretonnian paladin. And if we zoom across the way, we're going to get a good look at the Bretonnian army commanded by Vod Gojira. Got King Louen floating over there with his Pegasus army, floating over this fell tower. Kind of a weird lighting graphical bug. I don't know if that's just my graphics card or if that's a similar problem a lot of people have on this map of Hell Fen, but looks a little bit goofy there. But I have a bunch of black knights, Knights of the Realm, that are undead, moving silently through the trees on my right flank, backed up by some Karen Wraiths. The ethereal units, they're going to be trying to ambush the Bretonnian left flank. Not sure we'll be able to pull that off because there's a big gap between our two armies right now, but we'll get to see them in action pretty soon here. And then in the center, as my zombies and skeletons move up in lockstep, still, I gotta praise CA on the skeleton animations. I know a lot of people don't like them, think they look janky, but that's the point. They're meant to look and march in lockstep. I think it looks awesome. And the zombies, Bretonnian-themed zombies, look so cool. And they're gonna be moving up now, taking some fire from trebuchets and the peasant longbowmen as we get into range. Have some cryptors on the field as well, and some fell bats and other stuff. So Bretonnian army, peasant longbowmen up front, some undead zombies, of course they're undead, in the swamps of Hell Fen, just kind of floating there, their spirits floating above. This is one of my favorite maps in the game. It's just a very atmospheric, very cool setup for this battle. And then moving up now, I've got my fell bats, my zombie dragon. Gonna get a better look at that black Knight of the Black Grail. Looks so cool. And I would honestly think about playing a Mousillon themed campaign. I think that could be a lot of fun. They're in a really interesting location. Getting a civil war going with Bretonnia would be pretty awesome. But over here, the engagement has started. Pegasus Knights coming down from the fell tower, charging into the front on my Knights of the Black Grail. My Black Knights and Karn Wraiths are moving into a position to help reinforce. This is going to be hard for me to kill very many of them because he's just going to cycle charge and pull out again. And I can't really tie them down with anything. I don't have any flyers over on this flank, so good charge from him. One of his Pegasus Knights will get tied down and maybe cut to pieces. And in the center, of course, my zombies are going to get shredded by these trebuchets. And the peasant longbowmen moving through the swamps right now. I have brought a lot of ethereal units. I think I have 4 Karn Wraiths and a Hex Wraith as well, because they don't get any movement penalties in the swamps. They don't move slower, so that's very useful. But they will get absolutely torn to shreds by Grail Knights as they're coming in to reinforce the Pegasus Knights. He has way too much stuff over on this flank for my right flank to deal with. He's going to just completely overpower me with Grail Knights and these swooping Pegasus Knights getting hammer and anvils off, and King Louen is backing them up as well. So with all those buffs going off, my undead over on that side, they're going to have a really bad time. And in the center, I'm trying to kind of trying to swivel my entire line around to overload one side of his army. Cryptor is going into his peasant longbowmen, should obviously be able to do a lot of damage there, backing them up with some spearmen and pole arms with shields. Those do have a bonus for large, so they'll do some damage to my Cryptors, but they should be able to tank out that engagement for a while. And now my Fellbats and Karen Wraiths moving into a flanking position here. Going to be going straight for the artillery crews, trying to silence them, make sure they don't do any more damage to me. And this is where that movement bonus really helps. They do not take any penalties in swamps or rough terrain, so they're always moving at the exact same speed, which means they're going to be able to get around the flank quite easily and start doing a lot of damage here. So going to be able to take out those artillery crews, and in the center, Cryptor is still going to work. Get a sweeping, epic shot of this battlefield as my Grave Guard with great weapons get into melee. Backed up by the Cryptors. Seriously love this model. The Bretonnian Knights with the glowing eyes through their visors. and just the undead theme for this army is just so amazing. Really atmospheric, and he has absolutely trounced me over on this side of the engagement, and it's going to open up an opportunity for a huge hammer and anvil from all these Pegasus Knights and the Grail Knights charging in to the back of my right flank. Might be able to crumble this entire side of the army. Just so many Mousillon damn troops getting thrown across the battlefield into the sticky muck. But he's honestly not spread out at all. If he had just taken a little bit more time to charge everything on my back line, I didn't have very many troops in the back to reinforce my lines or prevent rear charges, and he's kind of just gonna blob up on my right side and really not get a great charge off on a lot of his really powerful charge units. So kind of a waste there. We'll see if is able to change that. And then over on this side, Zombie Dragon going to work on some Grail Knights, munching on them. Shouldn't have too many issues there, but I'm going to pull out of the engagement because Gojira wanted to have a 1v1 with King Louen and the Knight of the Black Grail on a Zombie Dragon. This should be an interesting fight. King Louen is a badass in 1v1 combat. Bakey's the Hippogriff does so much damage, so much armor piercing, so much attack values. He'll honestly probably beat the Zombie Dragon 1v1, but I do have the Lore of Vampires, which means it's time for a couple of magic missiles. Gaze of Nagash going off now, going to do quite a decent amount of damage to Louen there. So we'll see how that fight goes. We'll keep a close eye on that for now. Hex Race have moved into a flanking position. I microed my cavalry really poorly this game. The cavalry over on my left side didn't get into melee until right now, so I should have been able to close in on his right flank a lot earlier, but wasn't able to just because of bad micro. Wasn't playing with debug cam in this game. And then Gaze of Nagash gonna go off again. Look at how much damage that did. Louen and Bakey's were on half HP, and I overcasted it. I did not expect it to do that much damage, and Bakey's is gonna get sent tumbling to the ground. Louen is gonna drown in the swamps. Poor guy. Just completely underwater. Louen is dead, and that is gonna send some panic rippling through the Bretonnian army. Doesn't mean I've won this battle yet. He does have all those Grail Knights and Pegasus Knights still in the rear of my army, still causing a ton of damage over on this side. But if he had taken the time to get a better hammer and anvil off, I think my entire army would have just crumbled instantly. But he didn't. He kind of got blobbed up over on this side, and it has allowed me to kind of come back into the fight, get my Hex Race around the flank, and they're doing a lot of work now. When Louen died, that sent a lot of panic through the line. A lot of the Bretonnian peasants are running from the field. They might be coming back, but my Hex Race are going to make sure that that doesn't happen. You can see them just kind of cutting a swath of destruction through these routing units. It's the easiest time to pick up kills in this game. And then a brave Bretonnian Paladin going to go in, try to 1v1 the Grail Knight, the Black Knight with the Zombie Dragon. That'll be a tough fight for him. Not sure he'll be able to pull that one off. I am going to cast Invocation of Nehek on my Vampire Lord to keep him in the fight. He was very low after the 1v1 duel with King Louen, and Hex Race just munching through these peasant longbowmen and spearmen with shields routing in the background. Going to be going for some of those Knights of the Realm that are coming back in the distance there, and some of the halberds that have come back as well. And yeah, these Cairn Race and the Hex Race are doing a lot of work here. Their ethereal movement speed letting me catch up to these routing foot troops. And then over here, the last of the Grail Knights making a brave last stand, completely surrounded by Cryptors and zombies in the swamps, in the mucks of Helfen, and my Zombie Dragon is barely alive. And then look at this micro. What's some great micromanagement from Indie Pride here. An entire unit of Graveguard and my Vampire Lady just sitting in the back. This is why I use debug cam. I can zoom out and see my whole army, and embarrassingly, I'm gonna forget about them. It does happen to me occasionally. And yeah, that's 2 important units that I just completely left out of the fight there. So not as big a deal on 40 unit cap, as the Zombie Dragon is going to just send some of these Pegasus Knights tumbling to earth. But yeah, not as big a deal on 40 unit cap because the armies are bigger, obviously, so they'll make less of an impact. But still, don't want to be forgetting, 2,000 worth of talents of units in the back there, just not doing anything for the entire battle. Some of the Grail Knights still making their last stand here, but the army loss is going to kick in very, very soon, and that's going to be the end of the battle. So, Mousillon able to overpower Bretonnia here. Bretonnia, I think, is honestly not a bad faction. I was kind of mistaken. I'll be talking a lot more about Bretonnia in a couple of the replays coming up. They are certainly not the best 2 or 3 best factions in the game, but they do match up very well versus vampire counts. I touched on it with that How to Beat Vampire Counts with Bretonnia video, they have aerial superiority in this game, so they can definitely deal with VC. Just have to bring the right army. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.